morning.
Jody.
Good morning. This is going to be a minute before we get started here, working out some last minute technical details. All right, good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order notice of public meeting for the Mohave La Paz Workforce Development Board Executive Committee meeting for July 14th, 2022. We're going to start off with a presentation from Atlas, and then we'll take roll after the presentation. Welcome this morning, Jody, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to present the work that's been done thus far with Director Michael Smith and your Workforce Development Manager, Sarah Ungaro, on the one-stop operator portal. I'm Jody Toner with the CTS Atlas team, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about our one-stop operator partner portal and what benefits that's going to bring to the region. Rachel, are you going to be advancing the screen for me?
I will do that for you.
Perfect. If you could go into the next slide. Thank you so much. So some of the benefits and features of the One-Stop Partner Portal are being able to immediately identify and leverage community resources. This is so critical, probably now more than ever in the workforce development arena with limited, support service dollars, just needing to know what's available in the community-based, nonprofit, faith-based resources to better serve your customers as you're working to meet the continuum of their needs. Also very important to enhance and increase partner engagement. This system does full end-to-end referral. It also allows you to do robust reporting so you can get to the finite detail of being able to track the outcomes of referrals that are executed in the system. There's also some communication tools, and at the local regional workforce board, you have complete administrative oversight on your interaction with partners. If you'll advance to the next slide. So the premise of the Atlas programs and services, we try to create products that are tailor-made, that are very simple to use, that look at automation, streamlining, and connecting the partners, the customers, and the staff, to utilize our services. So on the resource and service side of our one-stop partner portal, you can immediately evaluate and assess the challenges or issues that may be preventing job seekers from going to work or training. You can take a look at what required action would be needed. There's a way to quickly keyword search the availability of the one-stop partner network and the resources by word search, by tags. By identification of this, you can immediately execute referrals and begin to address the needs and potential barriers of your customers. Through the system, you also can identify on the partner pages eligibility, the criteria for the referral, any associated paperwork that's required. They can upload the required documentation. All that can be housed in one concise platform. If you'll hit the next slide. What we also like about this platform on the one-stop operator is that everybody's operating on a level playing field. And what I mean by that, no matter if it's your partner programs that are using the system or your America's Job Center staff, no matter if they are seasoned professionals or first week on the job, they're going to have access to the same information. So you don't have to worry about somebody developing a rapport and creating their own network. All the contact information and everything is available in this portal. So what you're looking at in this screenshot is how the overlay actually appears for your partners. So you have their logo, you have their, the name of the organization, you have information on the organization, you have the ability to do a quick search here by just the name of the organization, services, or tags. And tags is just a quick search for like clothing, housing, rental assistance, whatever the available resources are in your particular area, and by network of services. So you're viewing here the partner profile, which is completely entered but approved by your one-stop operator admin. If you'll hit the next slide for me. So this is the partner specific information. This is just a screenshot of what it looks like. Very much has a feel of similar to information that would be contained on their website, but you're not having to leave your central one-stop partner portal to access information. So it contains general information on eligibility criteria, how to apply, hours of operations. On the left-hand side of the screen there, it will showcase the point of contacts, the name, the job title, the phone number, email address, the physical locations for your partner programs that have been specified, with geofencing that would connect to, being able to instantly map how to get to these locations. Again, under the eligibility section here, if there were specific forms that the partner required for any applicant to complete, they have the ability to upload these into the system. So your staff will be creating a very quality referral, and that would expedite transition of services with the customer base. If you'll hit the next slide for me. Referral, connection, and communication. So referrals are occurring real time. It's in a secured platform. It's a three-way referral system. And so what we mean by that is when the click of the referral occurs, it's going to the referring agency, the receiving agency, as well as the customer. So you have immediately accountability that's occurring and the ability to begin tracking and following up on execution of the referral. So no longer do you have to wonder, did Jody go to the agency? Did Jody get the services at the agency? You're able to flag that for follow-up and track the outcome of the services. The referral is also going to be automatically flat filed into a PDF, and it will appear in the customer's Atlas record for EDMS purposes. So that streamlines that transaction and saves the step on the staff part for documenting that referral. If you'll hit the next slide. This is a screenshot of what the referral looks like. It's just a quick agency connect form with basic demographic information, fully customizable. So we've been working behind the scenes with Sarah and team to identify what additional questions your region may want to collect and capture. Whatever we put in the system, we can extract out of the system. So right now it's a pretty basic registration for the initiation of that referral. If you'll hit the next screen. So here's what the referral process consists of. You search the agency, you click to connect, you fill out the agency connect referral form. Again, if there's any required documentation or application to fill out, you would upload that supporting documentation. So if there's a one pager, or if they ask for a birth certificate or social, whatever that process flow is, again, unique by the agency, you can upload that. So the agency would be receiving all the referral forms as well as supporting documentation along with that instant referral, and click submit. So it is a pretty streamlined and efficient referral process. If you'll click the next slide for me. And then you can track the results by one-stop partner organization. You can go into the detail of service type. So if you want to know how many referrals were executed for housing or clothing, or for, disability services or division of blind services, by individual partner agency, you can track the referral outcomes. We also have a shared calendar for partners to be able to promote events and resources that are occurring in a shared calendar platform. So that way, it's centralized and you're communicating effectively through our shared network calendar. We also can showcase the results of referrals and outcomes to celebrate the successes through a newsletter. And so all of these things, both your calendar of events and your newsletter, are controlled by your one-stop operator, your admin at your board level. But it's just another way to, communicate effectively and collaborate with your agencies to track the outcome of the results. If you'll hit the next slide for me. The admin has the ability to also flag referrals for follow-up. So in theory, if you execute a referral and there's not action taken within whatever your benchmark is internally, if that's a 5-day turnaround and you see that the agency hasn't taken action, your admin can ping the agency and ask for a status update and follow through to close out that transaction. This is an example of a one-stop operator regional board report that would show the number of partners, the increase of partners in the network, the total number of connections, which are referrals that have been made, the types and the highest number of referrals for this particular area were made to housing, and then who the highest number of referrals were made by. I've seen some boards do awards like on a quarterly basis to involve and engage partner participation. I've seen some boards that tie this back into infrastructure funding agreement, where's the return on that investment for partners paying for their fair share of infrastructure funding agreements. It really just depends on what your board would like to see here. But by having a centralized system that allows you to not only search for the available resources, maximize your limited workforce funding, but to be able to track the outcome of the referrals and then share that information with your partners, it truly has been a win-win. If you'll hit the next slide for me, please. So this is just a screenshot of the calendar. Again, it's shared. So everybody that's in your partner network that's on this one-stop operator partner portal would see the shared calendar, have the ability to post. If you're doing an in-house recruitment, if you're doing a job fair, if you're doing a youth-specific event, you could post it. If one of your partner agencies is doing a parenting class or a workshop for re-entry services, it could all be centralized and posted on a calendar to avoid all the email threads back and forth where things get lost in translation and you don't have it centrally posted. And then the same concept with the newsletter, which is the screenshot at the bottom of your screen. When the partners log in, everybody sees that newsletter. So it's a quick way for communication and engagement. And your board is in control whether you want to do that monthly or quarterly. That really depends on how frequency you want to communicate with your partners. In working with Mike and Sarah, they have requested adding a new feature for direct email messaging, which we thought was a great idea. And that's just one of the beauties in working with the CTS Atlas team. We do not charge for any additional customizations or enhancements. When we're working with a customer, that's just standard part of our process flow. We take great value in getting that input, because anything that's recommended that we can work with our development team and push out, it's going to make the system better for all of our customers. So ongoing customization, training, and support are something that we offer at no cost. If you'll hit the next slide. I know I ran through that very quickly. That's just a very high level overview of what the one-stop operator partner portal can offer to your region. I know through my conversations with Director Smith and Sarah, your manager, there's already great work being done within Mohave County in your workforce development area. I think that the one-stop operator partner portal will just continue to add value to what's already being done, will allow you to maximize technology and capture the stats, allow you to benchmark with your partners and really track the results and show the outcomes for each one of your partners that are in your network. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. I'm happy to address any questions that you or the team may have as it directly associates with the one-stop operator partner portal.
Hey, Jody, this is Joe, the workforce chairman. Thank you very much. Really nice presentation. We look forward to the full board seeing it in a couple of weeks. One thing, if you could just take an extra minute and just talk about how this is going to help us to facilitate new formal partnerships and encourage those partners to become part of the system.
Yeah, so what we've seen is a lot of boards, this is for your mandatory partners, your co-located partners, or partners in general. So what we've seen are boards that will just require a basic MOA, the Memorandum of Understanding, to begin to execute into the partner portal. There are no additional fees or charges that are associated with entry into the partner portal. And then when they see how easy it is, and it doesn't take much time for them to, build their profile. And then it's just ongoing maintenance to it. And so having the ability to communicate when funding's available, when funding's not available, it's really just with a quick click and an edit and an update, and then that goes through approval with your admin. So word of mouth travels, right? When the partners see how easy this is, and a lot of boards for rollout, we've shared some guides with Sarah and the team with screenshots on how to walk them through how to build their profile and how to create things. Once they see how easy it is, a lot of times they're going to want to come and be a part of your system, especially when they see that they can get quality referrals, because nothing infuriates your partners more than getting a referral for something where they've closed funding out 30 days ago and you're sending somebody over, but that customer didn't qualify, or staff didn't read through the eligibility criteria. And when we added the functionality of being able to upload documentation, that really helped expedite, quality referrals to the next level as well. So I think it's, pushing the notification out with your existing partners, anybody that you currently have with infrastructure funding agreement, your mandatory partners, championing that, and then, getting a word out and a blitz for new partner engagement. And I see Matt has a question as well, Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead,
Thank
Matt.
you very much. Thank you very much. In working with human resources, one of the triggers that was a big leap for us in communicating with our potential hires was when we added text messaging as a way to communicate. We had an increase of over 60% connectivity with our potential hires or potential onboarders over email. I was wondering if that was something that had been considered.
So absolutely, that's something that we've been talking with Director Michael Smith and Sarah. This is something that's being looked at. We have a separate platform. It's called Atlas AI that does direct messaging, and we have, benchmark success rates from, application to enrollment ratios that have significantly reduced it, getting engagement with participation from certain customer demographic groups because they are responsive. They open text messages within less than 10 seconds of receipt. And so this is something we're talking about that can further enhance the delivery flow within various programs that you operate as well. Great question. I fully support the SMS. Our system also does MMS that would allow you to do some outreach as well, but that's something that we are in discussion with Director Smith as well.
Great point. Anybody else have any questions? All right, Jody, thank you very much. And we'll see you in a few weeks at the full board. And if anybody else thinks of any questions in between, you can just reach out, let us know, or or bring them up during the meeting.
Excellent. Thank you for your confidence and your time and support today, sir.
Thank you. All right, next, we have a guest with us today in person, Mr. Don Bischoff. I was just going to give him a minute to introduce himself and tell us about the great new things that he's doing in the county.
Well, thank you for inviting us to your meeting. I don't know how many people we have virtually here, but I think my program supervisor, Tammy Thompson, is zoomed in. Yep, she's here. So I'm Don Bischoff. I'm captain with the Sheriff's Office for several decades now. And in October, the county and the Sheriff's Office received funding and implemented what's a jail reentry program. So essentially, we're tasked with, our small team is tasked with doing interview assessments with all new intakes into the jail to identify those that have issues with mental illness, substance use, homelessness, work issues. But essentially, our overall goal is to try and control jail population and connect people into services, either for the first time or to reconnect them once again, so that they can get on the right path and one, will control jail population, and two, have a positive impact with our recidivism rate. So like I said, our program really started gaining speed in about February, March. We got most all of our people on board by then. There's myself, there's Tammy, the program supervisor, and we had two inmate release coordinators that are grant funded from two different sources. And then our new funding source, we brought on 4 more. So we have a total of 6, what we're calling reentry coordinators, to try and avoid some confusion. But we've spent a lot of time working with our community partners throughout the county to one, make those connections for ourselves, figure out these processes, and yeah, I think right now we have 1 vacancy, but everything is coming along well. Our initial funding was substantial, but it was just a kickoff. But on Monday, we'll be officially authorizing an award of $1 million grant through the Attorney General's office, which is going to be huge in helping us in a lot of different areas, but primarily one of our goals is to build a reentry center right on jail property. So as these inmates are being released from custody, walk them out of the jail into a reentry center, and instantly they can get connected, if they choose, to some of these resources that they know they need. It's not that the resources aren't there, but there's a lot of shiny squirrels, I like to call them, between the jail door and the door of those services. So by building that right on jail property and making that part of the release, we think we're going to do a better service there, getting people connected up with services. We are interested in this Atlas program because of the referral process and the tracking and everything else. So we appreciate that. And in a nutshell, that's kind of what I and my small team are doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. You know, I was involved with Veterans Treatment Court for 5 years, and you know, having that guiding path, having those resources, you know, they still got to be willing. That's the tough part. But I'm super excited about this, and I think you know, it's a great fit with workforce as well. You know, helping these people become productive members of society again. And I know it's worked well with the veterans housing that went through. You know, we got those people some stability, and now you see the success stories coming out of it. So
Absolutely.
look forward to helping in any way we can.
We look to form a good partnership, and with that, I'm going to duck out, and you guys can go on with your business. I've got another meeting, but Tammy can stay as long as she wants.
Thank you very much, and thank you for
Thank you,
joining as
Tammy.
well, Tammy. All right, let's go ahead and do a roll call.
Joe Thornberry,
Here.
Anthony Soto, Matt Brewster,
Here.
Shauna Marshall.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thanks everybody for attending today. Just so you know, I only have virtual attendees that can make and second motions. So when I call for motions, I'm going to need the folks online to be able to do that. Item 1, discussion of possible action regarding approval of April 14th, 2022 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes or modifications need to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the April 14th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April 14th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2, discussion of possible action regarding review of Mohave La Paz Workforce Development Board attendance, resignations, requests for nominations to join the WDB, new renewal appointments by the Board of Supervisors. I failed to mention at the beginning of the meeting that Director Smith is joining us virtually, but he's only going to jump in if we need him. So Sarah, did you have anything on this item?
No, I do not.
All right, looking at the backup, I see that we're okay at this point. So I don't think we need any action on this item. Item 3, discussion of possible action regarding ratification of John Deemer's term length. As I understand it, he was replacing someone, so he would continue with the term that he's replacing. Is that correct? Does anybody have anything different?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So I don't think we need an action on it because he's replacing it and that's already in the terms. Is that correct? Or do we need an action?
We voted him on officially for a 4-year term.
Oh, okay.
So we need to change the motion to reflect him.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion for Mr. Deemer to his term to end January of next year. And then he'll have to be revoted after that.
I'll make a motion that we modify the term length for John Deemer with his term ending in January 2023.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4, discussion of possible action regarding ratification of the Arizona Work Mohave La Paz Memorandum of Understanding and IFA Agreement PY 2020 to PY 2023. Sarah.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have the MOU IFA. These were approved by the exec and the WDB board. When they were going before the Board of Supervisors, there was additional changes that the state needed to make regarding square footage for Mohave and Lake Havasu city offices. They weren't significant, just to reflect actual use within those offices, a reduction or increase in their sizing. We are bringing it back for ratification to the exec and then the full board.
Does anybody have any questions on the item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the ratification of the Arizona Work Mohave La Paz Memorandum of Understanding in IFA 2020 through 2023.
This is Chana. I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of the MOU between Arizona Work and the infrastructure funding agreement.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. Hearing a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, discussion of possible action regarding review and approval of WIOA Title 1B dislocated worker and youth requests for payments April 2022 through June 2022. Sarah.
This is actually, Chris Register has a presentation reviewing our current finances over the last 3 years. Our goals currently and where we are at.
So just a clarification, this isn't
Yes.
the billing that we filled out to the state for April, May, and June. This is an analysis of the last 3 years and where we're at and why we've gotten where we're at right now. The billing approval won't be until the next meeting, just because of the end of the year.
Okay.
So in this case, the first slide is just kind of a a view of what we're gonna be discussing. I don't plan it for it to be that extensive. First slide we're gonna see is gonna be the projected unexpended funds for WIOA for PY 2021. We are going to be not necessarily returning, but not utilizing $454,292.09. This is a projected number because we still have invoices coming in. We just have a majority of them in at this time. So this could go down some more. It also can go up because we have people that may have dropped out of truck driving school or something, which can change the numbers. And this is based on, this is a summary. If anybody needs more detail on it, I do have detail on it. This is a summary based on the programs. So you can see at the end where it's at. And I try to put in here what we're still expecting to give an idea of where we're at, what's actually been expended versus what we're expecting to come in and the assumptions that we have. Most of which are going to come in. And then the next slide. Just want to kind of go over the different where we've been at as far as cost allocation and spending goes. As far as staff, we assume at the beginning of every fiscal year that we're going to be fully staffed, and we budget out an exact dollar amount for that. Now these change up based on merit increases, or obviously people don't stay or they let go. And you'll see from FY20, we started having a decline in our staffing and the ability to get staffing up. And that was just at the start of COVID, where, and I hate to say it, people weren't coming in looking for jobs. And when we were at a deficit of staffing of 92,260. And then we got a little bit better in FY21. But FY22, and mind you, these numbers are based on a bare minimum. So these are at step one of every position that we've had open. So this could have been more. And we became a deficit for staffing at 133,460.32. Those are significant numbers just for staffing, because when we don't have staffing, we don't have people doing anything. So it's not just the staffing dollars that are affected. I wanted to put in something in regards to showing where we're at as far as our staff goes with COVID numbers and FMLA, how many staff we've had out and how that has affected WIOA division of itself, because we have multiple divisions here, so it's not just one, but I wanted to break that up. So I pulled the numbers for the last, since we started being affected by COVID. So that's what this shows. And the red is fully staffed for WIOA. And as you can see, the next column over of 3 bars, the red column is WIOA staffing. And then so on. So it just kind of gives you an indication of how many staff we actually had out, not just the staff that we did not have, but also staff that we had out because of COVID. It made a significant difference in the way we've been able to do business. I also wanted to show a chart of how we carried over our funds for the last 3 years, and kind of want to give a history on that. I've been here a pretty long time. And back a long time ago, we used to run our programs on a pretty conservative level, in the sense that we needed to make sure that we can continue to run into the second year of the contract. That way of working it, when they upped the dollars due to COVID, when they changed our contract by $800,000, that didn't start to change the way that we did business. That needs to change. So we're creating goals to move forward to be able to expend more of the contract carrying over than taking most of it over. So it shows just a habitual habit of carrying over most of our contract that's supposed to carry over to the second contract.
A caveat to that was that the common practice has been to roll over those large dollar amounts as seen in those graphs. Going forward, our best practice will be to only carry 50% of those funds rolled over into new years.
And so with that being said, we've been working, Sarah and I have been working together in regards to a plan on being able to meet regularly and really understand where we're at with the goals that we set forth and be able to change those goals depending on the what's happening in the community at that time, or staffing or whatever the case may be, so that we can make sure we're staying on top of that and actually reaching those goals. The last slide here is the expenditure goals. So this is the amount of money that we are going to need to spend by the end of fiscal year 23. So the first column is the full expenditure amount, which is 3.4 million. The second column is what we actually have to spend by June 30th of 23. That's 2.4 million. Now it includes, for full disclosure, that's not the program, that's also administration. And all of these numbers will incorporate the operating costs.
Awesome.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, bravo for, determining this is what was going on and having a fix in place. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it'll, along with having, more frequent meetings to look at this, be able to track it and react quicker.
I think that's the main thing, is being able to react quicker, and understanding both sides, administration as well as program, understanding where we're at and how we need to shift those funds to make it all come together.
And are we fluid enough, like when we know we're short-staffed, and we're saving, we're not saving, but we're not spending those dollars that we would be. So then can we expend those on the program side instead of the administration side?
That's exactly. Okay, so just for your knowledge, we have, if you see up there, there's,
Right.
You see adult admin, youth admin, those are not program costs, but on the program side, we also, all of the program reps are paid out of programs. So if we are short-staffed, those salaries can move over to programs. So yes,
Okay.
and everything is separated out by funds. So they have their own segment of dollars.
Gotcha.
So we can keep track of it and make sure where we're at.
Any questions? All right, so on that, it looks like for the full agenda, we just need to change the agenda item language.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, item 6, discussion of possible action regarding approval of bi-monthly or quarterly meeting for the performance review committee. So, in the performance review committee, we talked about this and we all agreed that having it every other month would still be beneficial, more communication, and also anytime the bylaws need to be changed, there has to be a 30-day written notice to the director. And this will also give us that time. So if there's any time that the performance review committee requests the bylaws be changed, it'll allow us, by meeting every other month or bi-monthly, to have the time to be able to get that through the chain in the proper order. So the recommendation from the performance review committee was to stay on a bi-monthly, even though the board meetings have gone to quarterly. Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to keep the PRC as a bi-monthly meeting.
I'll make a motion that we keep the PRC meeting as a bi-monthly meeting.
Thank you, John. I guess I can second the motion. Having a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7, discussion of possible action regarding review and accept increase of basic enrollment budget limits. Sarah.
Thank you, Chairman. So currently our basic budget limit per policy is $250. With inflation, we are asking for this to be increased to $450, specifically due to inflation, but also these basic services are for individuals who are coming in who have received a job offer or are applying for jobs and are needing just really quick, efficient assistance, work boots, work attire, a fingerprint clearance card. a gas voucher for the first few weeks of work until they actually receive those checks. At this point, we are having to really pick and choose exactly how they are going to receive that support because that budget no longer goes the way it goes, especially when we're talking about gas prices the way that they are, and clothing attire, or if they're needing work boots. Those are all extremely expensive. And they were before, it has just jumped, and we want to be able to assist to the best of our ability across the board. So we are asking for that budget to move.
Sounds great. All right, I'll entertain a motion to increase the basic enrollment budget limits to $450.
I'll make a motion that we increase the basic enrollment budget to $450.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Matt. Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8, discussion of possible action regarding review and acceptance of increase of adult DW supportive services budget. Sarah.
Right. Thank you. For those exact same reasons, our current support service budget for our adult and dislocated worker population is $1,500, and that is able to move up to $5,000 if they're in trainings. So again, with this, we're kind of looking at moving this specifically to $2,500. It isn't a lot, but it at least moves that budget to an increased rate of, if you are needing tools, a lot of those assistance for those higher needs and highest barrier participants. Our inflation rate in May was 8.6 across the United States. The new information that I got just this morning is that we have moved again, and we are now at 9.1 with June's numbers for inflation rates, and that is the highest our inflation rates have jumped since the 1950s, which is why we really need to be able to assist these individuals and push those budgets.
I agree. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to increase the LDW supported services budget.
I'll make a motion that we increase the adult and dislocated worker supportive services budget to the 2,500.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Right, and just to clarify the motion, and then 5,000 if they're accepting earned incentives.
Yes, did that change? I didn't notice that changed.
No, earned incentives are the same.
Okay,
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, discussion of possible action. Review and accept the revisions to ETPL policy. Sarah.
All right, this is a long one, bear with me. So we have gone through and updated this very robust policy specifically to adhere to the new guidance from the WAC, as well as the state policy that was updated effective July 1st. A lot of this is very specific to what the state's responsibilities are now, as well as what our local workforce development areas are and the training providers. The largest change within this wording is that all of the ETPL training providers start at a local level. So we are working with them here and now to address their in-demand occupations. They have all the paperwork that they need, and then it will move forward to the state. That initial eligibility is not only done on the local side, but as well as the state. So everyone is checking their boxes and making sure that things are correct. But again, this is moving forward to begin at a local level instead of at the state where it was before. And part of this policy that we have is actually that our staff, our business services, and our coordinators go out and recruit training providers within our community who are meeting those needs or those in-demand occupations. With that, again, it makes complete sense that the state is now reiterating that to begin at a local level. Are there any questions in regards to this document?
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the revisions to the ETPL policy.
I'll make a motion that we accept the revisions to the ETPL policy.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10, discussion of possible action regarding review and acceptance of PY 22 and PY 22 performance measures. Sarah,
You guys get tired of me yet?
I can speak to it if you want me to.
That's all right. All right, thank you so much, Sharon. So we have gone, we had a meeting between the Workforce Development Director, Michael Smith, our chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Ronald Gould, our chairman of the WDB, Joe Thornberry, and the state representatives to negotiate our performance outcomes for the next 2 years. Most all of these performance outcomes were right in accordance with our SAM data that was provided from the state, showing where our statistics usually come out, where we're going. There was one that was increased ever so slightly, and that was for our adult second quarter after exit. The targeted and predicted outcomes were at about 67.2%, 68.3%. We did negotiate at 70. It isn't a large climb, so we did agree to negotiate at that level. The rest are pretty close in sync with that data and the state negotiated outcomes.
Thank you. Yeah, it went pretty smooth. Everything was very close to what we had. There was just a few that we looked at each other, nodded our heads. Just asking the executive committee, do you think we need in the backup for the full board where we started, where we ended, or do you think just the outcomes are enough?
I'll make a motion that we accept the negotiated performance measures.
Thank you, John. Without being able to see him, I don't know if he's there, engaged, or busy, or on the phone. All right, I'll second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right?
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, discussion of possible action regarding your review and accept PY 22. PY 22 allocations. Get myself confused, Sarah.
Thank you, Chairman. All right, so these were voted upon by all of the Workforce Development Board areas. After the completed voting to the state, they decided upon the allocations for each region across local Workforce Development Board areas. Everyone is seeing a decline in those fundings. The only area that will receive a increase is the city of Phoenix with a increase into their adult program will be 60,000. Everyone else across the board is getting an increase for adults.
Yeah, John, I can tell you it certainly was different this year than years past. There was really no negotiations or really any choices. I mean, there was a half a dozen choices, but all of them but one were pretty much the same exact thing. And, you know, I know in the past the rural areas kind of got together and, you know, had some power, but that kind of wasn't the case this year. And, you know, after reviewing everything, we think we made the best choice for our area. So I didn't know if you had any questions on this.
Okay. No, I think that's kind of a thing that's happening across the board with everything is
Yeah.
that we're all getting decreased.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, before there actually was some choices to be made. There was some pretty different, you know, ways you could do it. This time they gave us a lot of choices, but the money was pretty much the same in all.
Same, yeah.
So the breakdown's just a little bit different. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion to accept PY 22 allocations.
I will make a motion to accept the PY 22 allocations.
I'll second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item 12, discussion of possible action regarding data validation closure letter PY 21 first quarter. Sarah.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this has gone back to the state for correction. This is not for the first quarter, but actually the third quarter of our data validation. We're actually currently within our last and fourth quarter for PY 21 at this time. Once we receive that, we will provide that to the exec and the board. This failed data element was for one participant who had come into our job center and they were experiencing the highest needs, highest barriers. They needed all their I-9 documents. They were experiencing homelessness. And in the time that they came in and the time that they were once again transient, we were unable to secure that specific document. And so we did fail that data element. This individual has actually been removed from all of our performance measures because there was no funds spent on them. There was no harm, no foul, if you will, as a result of that. But because we were unable to secure that document, we did fail that one data element. And the state was pretty understanding of that and that we're serving the correct populations, even when we can't get everything that we need. Are there any questions in regards to this?
No questions. We just need to update the agenda item for the full board to third quarter first.
Yes.
And then I'll entertain a motion to accept the data validation closure letter for PY 21 third quarter.
I'll make a motion that we accept the data, excuse me, validation closure letter for PY 21. Is that, did you say third quarter?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chana.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 13, discussion of possible action regarding review and acceptance of the EO monitoring closure letter. Sarah.
All right, we did have our EO monitoring. It was completed. There was a finding specific to our Parker office. We did explain to Linda Dell, our EO compliance program manager who completed that monitoring, that the computers that are within our Parker office are not working, and we meet with all of our clients directly within those back cubicles where all of our EO posting is ready and available to them. We don't have the ability to actually use those computers or that very small area. We usually bring clients in directly into our spaces, so we are reducing any type of contact to the general public, to the DES staff, or anyone else in that office. Are there any questions in regards to that finding?
No, and I did have a chance to talk with Jason before he moved on, and he basically said that they were actually in the wrong area, and the cubicle that was used did have the correct posting. So, yeah, and as I understand, that staff has to even let someone into the building. It's not even open to the public, correct?
I will have to check. Usually they come directly in, but we bring our staff or our clients in through a side door, so that
Gotcha.
they're not going directly into the lobby or disturbing the flow of services. They come in, they have to let them in.
Gotcha. All right. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the EO monitoring closeout letter.
I move that we accept the EO monitoring closeout letter.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I'll
Go ahead.
second.
Thank you, Matt. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right?
Any opposed, same sign. Here none, motion carries. Item 14, discussion of possible action regarding review and acceptance Kingman Office Review Finding Letter. Sarah.
Sure. We did have a monitoring in regards to our 700 West Beale Street now being a comprehensive center directly related to the migrant and seasonal farm workers program to ensure proper procedures are followed, specifically with a complaint process for those who are coming in who need migrant seasonal farm work or who are seasonal farm workers. Specific questions were asked about what is required when we are able to identify these individuals coming in. Our AJC on our side, as well as Employment Services side, directly asks that as we are enrolling them into our Arizona Job Connection. The state is currently undergoing new revamping of all of their trainings. As soon as those trainings are made available, our front office staff, who would be the one who would take these complaints along with ES staff, will be going through that training. We should be receiving, or Director Smith should be receiving, a formal review and discussion or response from the state shortly in regards to the actions they will be taking on these findings for their staff.
So is the complaint officer identified? Who?
The staff or the complaint officer.
No, it says
Or
that
it is-
the complaint specialist will be identified later in this letter.
It was Claudie Flowers was our specialist who came in and completed that. I'm not certain about that. I know that specifically this was mostly related to the
Right.
comprehensive one-stop center and our one specific staff member for front office. So that should someone come in, she will be able to take those complaints. We're still waiting on that formal response from DES and how they will be addressing the findings on their end and with their staff.
Okay, and then on your basic questionnaire, are you adding questions that they asked about?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Are you a migrant or seasonal farmer?
perfect. Easy for you to say. All right, so I'll entertain, is there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Kingman Office Review Finding Letter.
I will make a motion that we accept the Kingman Office Review Finding Letter.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, hearing none, motion carries. Item 15, discussion of possible action regarding accept and implement the Performance Review Committee recommendation that Arizona Work review how services are currently being provided and look at how those services can be expanded to meet the needs of community to include a formal outreach program and hybrid options. So I know that what we talked about in PRC was trying to go to where the people are. I actually did a little quick survey of the local library. I went for a week and I counted how many people were in there at opening time and how many were on the computers. I didn't count how many people were reading books, just using the computer services. And for the week that I did it in Kingman, I went at 9 o'clock every morning and it was between 9 and 15 people on the machines. And I can tell you that 90% were watching videos and playing games. But there was a few people that were actually job searching or trying to do that. So my thought was, especially in the outlying communities, Chamber of Commerce at Dolan or, those places like that, if we could try to form some kind of outreach formally, that I think we'd have a better chance. I think this new Atlas program and being able to reach people in different ways is also going to help tremendously. But that was the Performance Review Committee wanted to recommend to the board finding ways to be able to expand services and a formal outreach program and some hybrid options. Any questions or discussion?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I know in the past we have had like some little computers set up in some of our outlying areas here in La Paz County to try to help people continue their job search, in their local areas instead of having to travel, where there's a lot of people who don't have access to the computers or the internet. So it makes sense.
Sarah?
So to follow up on that, we are trying to be more robust in those services, ensuring that we are serving Colorado City, we are serving Salome and Ehrenberg Quartzsite. We have a great rapport with some of the City Hall officials out in the Quartzsite, Salome area. So I think, again, moving forward with our Atlas system is that we could potentially partner to have kiosks in those areas where services, even within 4 hours from our main flagship, those are able to be provided instead of call us and we'll come to you, which happens, but something can happen so quickly in someone got sick, they missed that appointment, something happens, and then it continues to get put out where if we have that accessibility and portability, services are rendered immediately.
Great. All right. So the motion would be to accept and implement the PRC's recommendation to expand the needs to the community to include a formal outreach program and hybrid options.
And I will make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second it happily.
Thank you. Hearing a motion in a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 16, discussion of possible action regarding accept and implement the performance review committee recommendation that Arizona at Work include a monthly reconciliation report during the PRC meetings. I think this ties back to what Chris had presented earlier too, just keeping a closer eye on that to be more reactive. Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, it'll actually be addressed in item 22.
Yeah. All right. So any further discussion or questions?
So I'll make a motion that we accept and implement the PRC committee recommendation that Arizona at Work include a monthly reconciliation report during the PRC meetings.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Matt. Here, a motion in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Item 17, discussion of possible action regarding accept and implement the performance review committee recommendation that Arizona at Work meet their goals within a 9-month span to include WEX and OJT goals. Has this changed since we looked at?
Can I ask for clarification on
Yes.
the 9-month thing? Because that doesn't make sense to me when we're talking about, I mean, if to reach our goal of expending funds that extend in that particular year, yes, to get to the 50% mark of monies that are going to carry over, I think it needs to be more clearly stated. This is what we're looking for, because we can obligate those funds. We can't show that they're expended because we're going to be spending all the way up to the end of the year. So if we can show that monies have been obligated, first source has been done, or this is our expectation, this is where we're at. This is what
Right,
we're passionate doing.
Yeah. Matt, you have a question?
Yes, is that a fiscal 9-month period or is that a rolling 9-month period?
So I think originally when this item came up for the agenda, and Director Smith's on there if he needs to jump in, we had a shortfall where we didn't expend all our funds this time. As previously already addressed by Chris in her presentation, they're looking at it differently, not trying to carry over the full amount. And now they've got a goal to have 50% of it spent in the interim. So I don't really know. I guess I need some direction too of, whether we still need to have this in there when we already have the new way we're looking at it and the monthly meeting about it.
Okay.
Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir, Director Smith.
So, yeah, there was a shortfall, and part of it of the 9-month expenditure was really the carryover of the closeout year. So with that being said, my thinking on this, or recommendation on this, was that for the dollar amounts that we're going to close out for the year for that goal, or for the funding expenditures, right? Have that goal amount, so the dollar amount that the program's going to set forth to be expended each month, right? Have it set so that the closeout contract year is actually expended in 9 months, so that way, at the 9-month period, right, when you're reconciling, because you're going to be behind a month anyways, right? That's really not even going to leave you that much room, even if you hit your goal on the 9th month, right? You still have funds to carry on throughout the rest of the year, because there's a rolling funding there. But in regards to the program, I mean, however the program wants to get there, I'm okay with. But one of the things that I don't like to see is if we have a monthly goal, right, or we have a monthly expenditure, and we get to 9 months, or we get to the PRC and we get to 10 or 11 months, how do we know we're going to expend that money? As opposed to if we get the 9 months of the closeout contract, those funds should be, all right. So you could reward it any way you want and just simply say that for a closeout year, all contract funds should be expended 3 months prior to the closeout contract. All I'm trying to get at is to make sure with the monthly meetings, that reconciliation and the program looking at it is to make sure that when we set our goals and we set the expectation of how we're going to spend money, we account for it so we don't have another situation. And I know when we set forth now the 50% spending of a contract each year for best practices, I know that will help. But those were my concerns. And I think really it's for the program as well as the board's guidance to come up with the program or present a program or a solution as to how they map out how funds are going to be expended so that we never have this situation presented to us again.
Chris, you have a question?
Well, it's more of a, just to make sure that, because I think that I'm understanding exactly what he's saying now. So basically, Michael, what we're saying is that we're gonna, the monies that are closing out by the end of the fiscal year, the contract that's closing out, that is the one, that those are the funds that we want to show that are fully expended at that 9-month mark.
Perfect.
Okay, that, again, because we're talking about 2 sets of funds, I want to make sure that that's very clear, because if we're talking about all of it, I mean, you're looking at another, and even part of that 50% should be expended as well.
Right, so we're not talking about the first portion of the 50%, we're talking about the closeout fund.
Correct.
So
Okay.
the 2.4
Yes.
million that is to be expended by June 30th. So with that understanding, it would be to set a goal to expend those funds by March.
One more thing.
No, those, because those are part of the new carryover.
The 2.4 million is part of the monies that need to be closed out by June 30th of FY23.
Right.
But with that being said, 2.4 million is not completely programmed dollars. Those are operating costs as well. So we need to make sure that that's understanding. Because we just throw out that the program has to expend 2.4 million, that is not right.
Okay, so I think we need a good discussion today, but I think we need to clarify the motion before it goes to the full board so that it's everyone understands. Because I'm certainly confused the way it's written out. I mean, I understand, but I don't think the motion reflects that. John or Matt, did you have any questions?
Not that are not currently exposed.
Okay, Director Smith.
No, that works. Like I said, for me, it's just if their motion was needed or you want to put something forward, the motion would be simple as, and I can't put a motion forward, but if I was to, it would simply state that 90% of the funds, I'm sorry, for the closeout year contract, they would reach the goal of all expenditures being expended by the 9 months, by the 9th month of the closeout contract. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
That's all I want to add to that, and then I will leave it to the board for their direction. But that's what I was trying to articulate at the PRC. If that wasn't clear in the motion brought forward or the recommendation, that would be what the recommendation was supposed to be.
Could we then update the document to reflect that recommendation and that terminology?
Well, and I also think we need to add in that it's a closeout year. I think, when it says, because it also needs to say the program funds.
Well, I mean, it can say both because with full transparency, I think that's what we're trying to get to, is make sure that we're including the administration, because that's part of monies that we will have to get back if we don't spend them. Just for knowledge, but as far as we can have those separated out, which they are on here, the summary. So it's just a matter of, I think, for understanding purposes, make sure to separate the 2 different funds. And we can do that by listing what they are, FY21, FY22, FY22, FY23. And if there's a goal or a percentage that we want to have at 9 months for the 50% that needs to be spent, that is going to roll over, we can also add that in there. And it's just clear on both sides what we're doing and what our expectations and goals are.
Could we table this until we have a better defined action request?
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing, because there's, the PRC's recommendation is very vague. So, we definitely need to specify more what we're talking about, because it just says goals. It doesn't even say expenditure goals, so, yeah, I would agree that I would feel better tabling this. We can bring it up to the full board and see if the full board, if we have a chance to explain it there, and we can get a good, succinct motion at that time.
Guess if we take Matt's thing as a motion to table it for more information, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table this item for the full board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 18, discussion of possible action regarding review and accept draft agenda for July 28, 2022 Workforce Development Board meeting. I know we already made 2 modifications on item number 5 that need to be updated. And then item 12, I know we needed to update that to 3rd quarter. Were there any other changes that anyone had for the draft agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft agenda.
Move we approve the draft agenda with those changes.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Matt. Hearing a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 19, discussion only, review findings during Q2 documentation upload to DES. Sarah.
Thank you, Chairman. This finding was related to meeting minutes not being posted on our Workforce Development website within 3 business days of approval. With further guidance, the action plan going forward is to have drafted minutes posted within 72 hours after a meeting is completed to reduce this from being a recurring issue and meet those appropriate guidelines.
Was that being done by the one-stop operator previously?
That's being done by me.
Okay. And that's after they're correct.
Before their approval. It said they showed Robert's Rule of Law that they mentioned right here. It states that meeting minutes can be posted online prior to approval. So I labeled them as a draft versus approved for the meeting minutes.
Perfect. Any further questions or discussion on item 19? All right, item 20, discussion only, review RFP for one-stop operator. Who wants to start?
You're late, Chairman.
All right, so as we all know, our one-stop operator has chosen to end his contract, and as required by law, we now have to put it out for a request for proposal. The team here has done an amazing job of going in and making some clarifications and expanding some of the duties that the one-stop operator will help coordinate. I know there's everything that's been highlighted in the packet in the backup has been an addition or a change. I know that I've had a chance to go through it a few times, and it looks like, some real good clarification and areas that we've noticed over the last couple of years to be able to give that one-stop operator kind of the direction and the authority to coordinate those positions and to get those partners on board and coordinate training. I know that our previous one-stop operator did a great job with the EO program, and that's mentioned in there as well. I guess I would just open it up and see if if any of the exec committee had any questions. Obviously this has to go through procurement and then be posted. It's a lengthy process, as we know, so we're trying to get this approved as quickly as possible so that we can get it out there in the public and get some qualified folks to bid on it. So, but of course, if anybody has any questions or wants to make any changes in addition to the ones that have already been done, speak now or forever hold your peace. Any questions on the new RFP? No from John. All right, hearing no questions, I'll entertain them. So this is discussion only, but I think we need to go ahead and do a motion to approve this today so that it can go to the next step. I don't know if it'll be completely ready to go for the board meeting. If it is, then we can ratify it at the board meeting. If not, then we'll get another vote at the board meeting. But I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get this process moving forward. So I would like to make
Chairman,
a motion to accept the RFP for the one-stop operator. Director Smith, did you have a question or did you need something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I have been working with procurement on this. The only two changes that I saw, having spoken to the one-stop operator, was one, I looked at the pay. The pay had been the same, just so the board knows. The pay had been the same for the contract of $75,000. The problem is that if we change that dollar amount, we then would have to change that within the MOU IFA, and those things would then, be complicated for several months. So the feeling on it is everything as you see it is pretty much a final product. It's been the procurement. This is the RFP that's been out to the public every year, or that's been renewed with Jason since the beginning of the contract. And with that being said, the only thing that I asked Jason in regards to, and if there would be anything that he would feel would keep somebody from wanting to apply, and he talked about the insurance aspect of it. We did put the insurance to procurement as well as risk management. So the only thing that might come back for changes that I would see moving forward would be in regards to the insurance dollars that's required by the county for the contract. Outside of that, I do not see any changes in the near future for this RFP.
Thank you, Director Smith. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the RFP for the one-stop operator.
I'll make a motion that we approve the RFP for the one-stop operator to help move it forward.
Thank you, John. I'll second the motion. Having a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 3, or item 3.
Let's go in that way.
Well, 2 + 1 does equal 3. Item 21, discussion only, program breakdown for 2019 to 2021.
All right, thank you, Chairman. All right, so I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing these analysis. We wanted to do a closeout before we do an annual report, specifically on where we are at within the program. I've been in my position just about 6 months now. We've had some, nice roads we've traveled over the last 6 months. With that,
has been hilly.
It has. So with that, we wanted to take a full breakdown of where we are at in a SWOT analysis and kind of delve into that for full transparency. So specifically, some of the strengths we have and what we are implementing is new staff trainings has occurred and is being done diligently. And we have this scheduled throughout the entire upcoming 2020 program year. Our monthly finance meetings with WIOA management are scheduled for the next 2 years for robust tracking and communication of program expenditures towards those program goals, so that we know immediately if there's an issue, we're doing something to change that. The implementation of our Atlas paperless filing, monitor, and referral system is going to take us into the new age where we've needed to be for some time. Not only is this for within the house, but also for those robust referral systems between all of our core partners and community partners. We now, and you'll see further, have some really in-depth data trend knowledge to make strategic decisions surrounding future cohorts, training, and our community engagement. The more that we kind of delve into that, and I know if anyone is like me, you love getting into reports and Excel spreadsheets that are, you know, a million lines long. But as we do that and we filter it out and we kind of take this information and break it down, it is giving us a more comprehensive understanding of where we're at, where we're going, and where we've been. We are reducing silos between our business services and our supporting staff. So there's fluid knowledge and communication, not only for our participants to move forward on their goals, but also so that we know that anything that is happening with a WEX or an OJT, that we are able to make those appropriate sound career coaching advisements to those individuals, build the soft skills, build the hard skills, and get them out into the workforce. Our staffing has increased over the last 2 months. We do have some vacancies, but we have had staffing increases. Our month of June 2021 enrollments and spending did increase significantly as we've had those meetings and we're trying to move forward with that knowledge. Our cohort and training dates are being established. We do have some already established over the next few months, moving into the end of this actual year, not the program year. And we will have a finalized schedule by the end of this week. Our weaknesses show a significant decline in enrollments in 2020 and 2021. We also have a significant decline in spending and placements for our WEXs and OJTs. As Chris noted earlier, our staff shortages not only impacted where we are at on provision of services, but also in that spending, because those overall program costs and operational costs decreased. And we have had to retrain staff, ensure accuracy and staff service provision, which is why we are moving forward with our review auditor position to really increase that oversight. Limitations and decreased engagement due to COVID and stimulus-related supports has impacted not only us, but I think everybody in the economy. This graph specifically that you are seeing is our enrollments over the last 3 years. So July into June, that was the 2019 program year. You can see that in March, right as we were taking that lovely dive, the initial shutdown from the national emergency was declared for the United States. We did have a spike that September, and it seems like every September we seem to have a nice increase. Where we have that drop in October to, I believe it was about February, is large COVID case numbers did occur. We did correlate that data specifically with our local public health. And in January 22, this year, from November until January, we had the highest number of COVID cases in our county ever. It was a little bit over 14,000. But taking this information has allowed us to see where we have those peaks, where we have those valleys, and where there seems to be not only just COVID related, but also increased in enrollment. So we know if we are usually going to have a good month, or we're going to start taking up in July, August, September, we need to be more prepared throughout August, November, and December to encourage those enrollments to increase and continue movement. These are our WEX expenses over the last 3 years. In 2019, we had $130,000 spent within youth just on work experiences. We also had very large amounts spent on adults, and DW was about the same across all 3 years. Within our 2020 program year, we actually had more spending within youth. Our adults did take a dive, and our DW did have a slight increase that was related to an on-the-job training, or I'm sorry, 2 different WEX work experiences. You can see significantly from 2019, 2020 to 2021, where those WEX expenses declined exponentially, where we were looking at 130,000 to only 72,000 over this last program year, which is why fully targeting our business services and revamping that position and the service provision and reduction of silos is going to help to move these bars. Our OJT expenses within 2019 for adults was significant. We robust movement with a company that came into the area. And we were able to do a large amount of on-the-job trainings. Significantly, you can see a large decline over the next 2 years. And if we're looking specifically at youth, where that is kind of, we stayed around a $12,000 range, dipped to 5 to where we were only at 2,300, almost 2,400 on OJTs this year. With that data, we are able to make, again, those strategic planning and implementation to target our enrollments, our spending, and our training from that analysis over the last 3 years. And we are again going to kind of ramp up October and February, where we've seen decline in enrollments. Cohorts for our trainings and hiring events will be ramped up during those times. Our Atlas system implementation will allow for regular reporting and tracking on referrals, as well as the time that it takes the staff, once they get a referral, to actually respond. How soon did that person go from referral process to enrollment? And if there was an issue, was it due to staff completion rate, or was it due specifically to other issues or high needs and high barriers? Required documentation uploads will be implemented to where when we are putting someone into Atlas along or coinciding with AJC, they will have to have their documents uploaded. So for those who do not have their I-9 documents, we will know immediately we need to work solely on gaining those before we move them forward, before they can even kind of move into a larger process of career coaching. It will also allow us, and this was specific guidance from previous PRC and executive meetings, was to implement review of progresses. And we will be able to pull reports from the system showing that those review of progresses are happening every 90 days to show appropriate tracking and case management. Changes have occurred in our staff hiring process and training implementation for onboarding. So those that we have coming in, we are taking a different tact. Our hiring interview questions have actually been changed, and it seems like that's pretty simple or limited change. But I'm actually pretty happy with the staff that we have now onboarded, specifically with those interview questions, how they came out, and how they've implemented directly into our culture just from that small change. As well as having a warmer onboarding process and shadowing instead of, here's the pride, you can't jump in. Monthly staff follow-ups and on programmatic progress and staff and spending are happening. So it is not just happening at a management level where we're aware of what's going on, but we're providing that information to staff, because if they know, hey, we're at this level, I know that I need to kick it into gear. I know where we're at and where I need to move the bar in my own caseload or in my own enrollments. And then again, those monthly finance and program meetings, evaluating for immediate planning, strategic problem solving for any noted issues. Some of this data is specific not only to us, but across the entire United States. We're talking about February 2020, there were 7 million jobs open across the United States. And that was right before the pandemic. In May of this year, there were over 11.5 million jobs open across the United States. I believe that the next point of COVID still remains an ongoing struggle. Limiting participation and staff requiring increased sick leave for recovery is definitely something that we have to take into accountability and be able to move with that. We know it's a threat. What are we going to do to target that and continue moving? And I can tell you right now, as we're all sitting in this room and in this meeting, it is impacting us greatly, and we're doing what we need to do to make sure that service provision is still happening. We're moving staff where they need to go to different areas, and we're just going to keep going. Some other threats that we know, and in speaking with employers more recently, taking on kind of a new hat here, our housing market is atrocious. Census Bureau from about 16 to 20 shows that our annual house median income is 47,000, while housing is estimated at 173. Again, these are probably much lower numbers than the actual case is, because our housing market, again, is pretty atrocious. So when you look at that, someone's median household income is 4 times less than what it would cost to purchase a home across Mohave County. And then we have the population of ages 16 plus participating in the workforce across Mohave County, about 44.8%, and in La Paz, it's only 37.6%. So we have a large disengaged labor force. So when we're talking about implementation of robust abilities to go out and recruit people, we have to be there. We have to go meet people where they're at. And this has proven to us more than any time that we need to do that. The last thing that is not in this slide is that there was requests from the PRC of how many active participants we've had over the last program year, as well as how many participants we enrolled this program year. Those numbers are still closing out, but we do have a total of 813 participants across the 2021 program year who have been active. We did 516 enrollments across the entire program, both counties. We've broken that down into 400 adult enrollments, 100 youth enrollments, and 16 DWs. So we actually had, in the last few months, an uptick in our dislocated workers. And we continue to actually see a slight trend in increased dislocated workers. We're trying to be aggressive and also proactive in reviewing where our economy is and where we're probably going to go into a recession. We need to focus on the similar things that happened in COVID of who are the essential workers and how does that correlate with our in-demand occupations and in-demand sectors. Any questions in regards to this, where we've at, where we've been, where we're going, or any of the data that has been provided?
Excellent. I'm a SWOT guy. I love SWOTs.
Give you some Excel spreadsheets are good.
No, I really appreciate that. I mean, it's, you know, continuous improvement. You can't improve if you don't know where you're at. So doing a SWOT is a great way to do that. Capitalize on your strengths. You know where you need to focus on your weaknesses. Some of those things you'll be able to affect, some you won't. But just knowing that they're there is key. And yeah, I agree with that SWOT 100%. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, item 22, discussion only regarding Mohave La Paz conflict of interest forms.
Thank you, Chairman. We are currently reviewing the annual policy to ensure we have the most up-to-date information. Conflict of interest forms, which we'll be asking all board members to review and sign at the full Workforce Development Board. We're currently waiting on clarification from the county attorney on our forms. They will be sent out to all board members soon. Please make sure that you are properly notating any conflicts of interest when completing these.
Any questions?
Chairman, this is Director Smith.
Director Smith.
So I did have a chance to meet with the county attorney, Ryan Epsilon, on this. In regards to the program or for board members using services as a conflict of interest, would it be a conflict of interest? He advised that as long as the program advocates and markets and promotes the services evenly across the county in perspective and not just the board members, there would not be a conflict of interest for board members to use services. That was the clarification that we were looking at. So with that being said, that I do not have anything further from the attorney. I consider that matter closed unless there's any questions from board members, and I would suggest that we send out the updated form and ask board members to sign as we normally do.
Sounds good. Any other discussion on the conflict of interest forms? Hearing none, director's report. Do you have anything for your report?
I have a lot, but I have a lot of COVID brain too. So at this time,
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and pass. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, chairman's report. Again, just can't thank the program enough. You know, the culture's changed, the buy-in has changed. You know, just seeing even with fewer staff for a while there, still being more productive. I know it's a lot of work. The board has requests, the state has requests, so I appreciate all the work and keep it up. And that's all I've got. All right. Call to the public, this public meeting, I apologize, executive committee announcements. Chana, Matt, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Call to the public meetings, anyone in the public wishing to address the board. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. I didn't write on my thing at all this time. Is that amazing?